in bed usually for 8 hours a night. And that's typically 10 to 6, usually results in probably 7.5 hours of sleep, generally doing, 4 hours of zone 2 a week with one sort of higher intensity workout that's geared towards VO2 max a week.
Did you know that around 50% of men and a third of women are expected to die from a heart attack around the age of 65? But don't worry, it's not like you are destined to die like this, because in this video, we will share Dr. Peter Attia's explosive longevity secrets with you, which you cannot miss. In an interview with Dr. Attia, he told us that many people in their late 40s feel secure if everything's looking good and start thinking they don't really need to do anything. But you will be amazed to know that a huge 80% of us will have a chronic health condition by age 65, and we are inevitably bound to get early signs in our 20s.
Is it true that our body may already be showing signs of aging as early as in our 20s?
Yes.
The host started the interview with a quick round of general health questions that are on most people's minds. Thanks to that, we learned that our body will start showing signs of aging, like going gray, as soon as we turn 20. It is a bit depressing. At least it serves as an indicator that it's time to take your health seriously, focus on your diet, exercise regularly, and do everything that doctors have been prescribing to ensure a long, healthy life throughout history. From Dr. Attia's advice, we get a sense of surety that now we have a way to avoid decades of declining health.
Decades of poor health before we die.
No.
That's very cheering. Are we at the dawn of a new approach to medicine that can significantly lengthen our lifespans?
Maybe.
Dr. Attia's ability to predict someone's lifespan just by checking their grip strength is a feat in itself. But it's not a magic trick. It's years of experience that allow him to do that. It's pretty interesting to know that we may be heading towards a time when living a long life will not depend on your body conditions, but on some medicines. So, does that mean drugs are more suited for living a longer life than generally exercising? Well, Dr. Attia clears that up when he answers.
That's almost a yes. Can you prescribe an exercise routine that is more effective than drugs to extend my lifespan?
Yes.
So, that clears one suspicion that exercise and natural remedies will always prevail over synthetic medicines and drugs. In the end, it's all about what you do to your body and how you treat your body. If you are treating your body nicely now, then the body will be good to you when you are old and gray. Now, let's move on to the big question that has had many scholars and people trying to find the answer for centuries.
The die is already cast, that there's something sort of predetermined about it, that your genes are your destiny.
Thanks to his statement, we finally know that we have control over life and can change our destiny. He clarifies that your health has nothing to do with your fate or your genes, and that you can always change it and take more control than we can imagine. Before we take control, we need to understand one thing. Everybody is going to age slowly and surely, and we can't prevent that. What we can do is age well. Thanks to this information by Dr. Attia, we now know that aging is not bad. We just need to make sure that we age well. When thinking about aging, many people consider it their health span versus lifespan, but the term health span is often misunderstood. So, the three domains are the cognitive domain, the physical domain, and finally, the emotional domain. The cognitive domain includes diseases like dementia, but it also contains cognitive impairments like reduced processing speed or problem-solving skills. It means that it's just a natural part of our lives, and Dr. Attia is no exception. He has many remedies and anti-aging exercises to work with. The physical domain involves preserving muscle mass, strength, and cardiorespiratory fitness. While the emotional domain is a bit different as it is not connected to age, it still impacts the quality of life. So, if we want a long, healthy life, we need to keep all of these things in mind and take action based on these pieces of wisdom. We come to know that at the end of the day, health span is just an analog variable with gradations. Every person in the world doesn't need to have the same physical health limit. Actually, everyone has a different health span that is vastly different from one another. As Dr. Attia said,
And the things that I want to be able to do in the last decade of my life are probably really extreme compared to what many people would want to be able to do.
If physical exercise is directly related to health span, then why didn't ancient humans live that long? That is a question that may come to your mind, so Dr. Attia explains it as follows.
Well, on the lifespan front, the things that are really getting in our way today are very different from the things that got in our way for most of our existence on this planet as a species.
Fast death is a sudden change in our environment or a calamity that we had no control over at the time. These kinds of things are one of the main reasons that in the history of humankind, we have seen multiple instances of near-extinction experiences. Thankfully, humans were smart enough to counter that by developing medicines. We saw that suddenly, we were now able to withstand fast death, and essentially, we had doubled our lifespan. Following medicines in the 19th and 20th centuries, all sorts of tools and technologies were developed. We are now able to overcome fast death completely, but that is not our current problem. Our current problem is slow death. So what should we do now? We have already doubled our lifespans, but are still living in a decline phase. We need to make sure that our bodies stay healthy. We need to exercise and be physically fit. It was a problem back then, but now, thanks to modern medicines, we can overcome it all. So do it to live an extra decade with your grandchildren with a body that can lift them high up. We now understand the basis of longevity, but we need to understand who the enemies of our health span are. According to Dr. Attia, the main diseases robbing us of health span as we grow older are the big four. He calls them the four horsemen. These include cardiovascular diseases, cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, and metabolic diseases. These diseases have multiple places where they can attack you. They go from insulin resistance up to fatty liver disease and, ultimately, type 2 diabetes. If we are talking about killing people, then these diseases don't do much on a number scale, but they are responsible for cutting your lifespan into drastically shorter times. Another issue that Dr. Attia addressed is modern medicine's reactive approach. The problem is that we tend to do what we know how to do. He calls the medicine system that overcame fast death Medicine 2.0 inches and points out how it's unhealthy.
Thing you don't want to hit to make the turn. And if all you ever did was drive cars, you could drive around London and you could be like, oh, look, there's a bus in front of me that has stopped. If I don't stop, I'll hit it. I'm going to stop or I'm going to turn.
He explains that our culture has a bad habit of not working on anything until we see it. What we need to do is act before anything happens by taking care of our bodies. And if we do that, we will never have to crash our car and we will be able to drive carefully and safely. You don't want to wait until your blood sugar is 140 mg/dL or until you have a stroke or colon cancer. You have to act much sooner before there's even a problem. Here comes the third main question, which is whether it's too late to improve health if preventive measures aren't taken early. Thankfully, Dr. Attia also explains this question by saying that it's never too late. He says that from autopsy studies on people in their 20s, we have come to understand that those who have died from unrelated causes had one thing in common, which was some early signs of atherosclerosis. The body was not defending itself just from the main cause of death. It was also attacking the inside of the artery, where cholesterol gets in. The body thinks of it as a foreign adversary when it's not. When we try to find a solution to these things, we often cause more problems. There were many autopsies of people in their 20s who died in car accidents that were completely unrelated to heart disease. Their autopsies revealed early signs of this atherosclerosis, which indicates that the process of cholesterol getting in the arteries starts at birth. We must understand that this might not reach a clinical emergency until the person is in their mid-60s. Remember what we told you at the start of this video? Half of the men and a third of women will experience a heart attack, stroke, or sudden death from these before age 65. So when Dr. Attia told us that it is never too late to take action, then that means we can start today. We need to get rid of the mindset that if we don't see any problem at the moment, then there is no problem, because this false sense of security will shorten our lifespan. What Dr. Attia is stressing is that we need to shift our focus from treating diseases to preventing them, because we have to understand the limitations of modern medicine. The structural issues of the healthcare system are a big topic to discuss, so let's just focus on the basics. The basics of how our healthcare system is training young physicians.
You have to go back to the way physicians are trained. When I was in medical school, I only really learned about two tools, which were procedural tools and pharmacologic tools. I'm simply pointing out that all the stuff we're now talking about will require that you understand nutrition and you understand exercise.
It was so bad that Tim used to make a joke.
Tim always says that, if you're lucky, you get a half day of training on nutrition in your entire training as a doctor. And
The worst part is that even if you teach these doctors about nutrition, sleep, and exercise, they still don't know how to use these tools. There are many instances in your life where you see doctors advising their patients to eat less, exercise more, and sleep better, but this vague description is not the kind of advice a doctor should be giving. People don't think much when allocating their healthcare funds. They are willing to pay 10 times more later on than to pay a little before their health goes down drastically. Even from a financial viewpoint, it would make more sense to invest in preventative measures earlier in life. For example, a person could invest in continuous glucose monitors, which could provide invaluable data to improve their health. If a person truly wishes for longevity and a healthier lifestyle, then their journey will start by educating themselves and taking action without any delay. We understand that there are more imperfections in the healthcare system than we can count, but that is no excuse for stopping yourself. People can take action, as we have described in this video, and all of these changes can start with the simple steps of improving your nutrition, sleep, and exercise. That is just the start of you finding the happiness of emotional well-being. Our goal is to give people the power to take control of their health, rather than only relying on a system that takes action after a disease is diagnosed and has already started killing you. Glucose is a type of simple carbohydrate that is also known as blood sugar. It's an important energy source for our bodies. When you eat foods like pasta or candy, they break down into glucose. However, excess glucose can also harm blood vessels, which may lead to serious health issues like long-term type 2 diabetes. So, Dr. Peter Attia explains that continuous glucose monitoring will provide you with the right information on how different foods, stress, and sleep impact blood sugar levels.
I was also very surprised, for me personally, very surprised at the effect of stress and sleep, and how stress and sleep negatively impacted, poor stress, like high stress, poor sleep, negatively impacted.
Dr. Attia mentions that people who want to ensure their fitness in the last decade of their lives need a clear and specific training plan. He calls this the centenarian decathlon, which basically involves defining specific goals for activities you want to perform in your later years, and then training for them.
Taking them on a trip where we have to walk. So we want to be very clear that we know what you want to be able to do. And once we've defined that, you now have to set in place a training plan. And I review the centenarian decathlon and the activities of your marginal decade increase functional capacity. For someone at your age, for example, it's very easy to overlook this because there's probably nothing that you have really come up against yet in your life.
Dr. Attia also makes sure that people understand that there are two different kinds of cardio training programs that one should not mix. The first one is called aerobic efficiency, or Zone 2. This kind of training involves steady-state cardio, where you can speak but prefer not to because of the effort involved. Basically, in Zone 2 training, there is a specific intensity of exercise to ensure a low heart rate of 60 to 70% of one's maximum heart rate. This type of aerobic exercise is important as it improves metabolic flexibility and mitochondrial efficiency. Attia explains that Zone 2 training is the basic part of building a strong aerobic base. It helps the body to become more efficient at burning fat for fuel, which in turn improves metabolic health. On the other hand, we have VO2 max, which is the maximum rate at which an individual can consume oxygen during intense exercise. It is a key indicator of cardiovascular fitness and overall health. So we need to perform VO2 max training to improve our overall endurance and physical performance. Attia shared that VO2 max is one of the best predictors of longevity, and regular high-intensity interval training is a great way to boost your VO2 max and improve your cardiovascular health. While we are on the subject of training, we surely can't forget to mention Dr. Attia's strength training. It is another one of Attia's longevity frameworks that has been working like a charm throughout the world. According to him, building and maintaining muscle mass is one of the most critical factors that help to improve metabolic health, bone density, and overall functional fitness. Once a person is in their last decade, they will start appreciating all the strength training they did because strength is exerted at all times when you're going up the stairs, down the stairs, or lifting something. So at an old age, all that comes in pretty handy.
If you're walking down the stairs, you're relying mostly on your eccentric strength. If you're going up the stairs, you're relying on your concentric strength. And most people, when they're aging, are actually at greater risk for injury going down the stairs or down the hill
So even if we ignore these specific training methods for a minute and listen to Dr. Attia, we learn that what he teaches people is a direct and stable approach to longevity that includes nutrition, sleep, stress management, and regular health checkups. He believes not in urgency, but in consistency and balance. According to him, longevity isn't about doing one thing perfectly. It's about doing many things reasonably well. Well, there you have it. We hope that you will understand all the secrets of longevity and a healthy lifestyle by watching this video. If you have made it this far, don't forget to check out our previous videos on the channel.